enjoying a beautiful day on the Gettysburg Battlefield. Gettysburg is a favorite of ours, and we have been frequent visitors here since the year 2000. We love the area as much for the history as we do the paranormal activity. It is December and the weather is cold and windy. We are here for several days and plan to explore many areas on the battlefield. We make our way to Little Round Top, a location that was key to the outcome of the Battle of Gettysburg. Little Round Top is the smaller of two rocky hills south of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, the companion to the adjacent, taller hill named Big Round Top. It was the site of an unsuccessful assault by Confederate troops against the Union left flank on July 2nd, 1863, the second day of the Battle of Gettysburg during the American Civil War. The battle for Little Round Top was an intense conflict within the larger Battle of Gettysburg. The struggle to control a strategic hill on the battle's second day was intense and showcased an extreme bravery conducted under withering fire. Despite repeated assaults by seasoned Confederate troops, the Union soldiers who arrived at the top of the hill just in time to defend it managed to throw together a stout defense. The Union troops, facing repeated assaults, succeeded in keeping the high ground. Had the Confederates been able to seize Little Round Top, they could have overrun the left flank of the entire Union Army and possibly won the battle. The fate of the entire Civil War may have been decided by the brutal fighting for one hill overlooking Pennsylvania farmland. Little Round Top is a rocky hill located south of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and it became a focal point during the second day of the Battle of Gettysburg. The hill's strategic importance lay in its commanding view of the surrounding area, which allowed whoever controlled it to dominate the battlefield. On July 2nd, 1863, as Confederate forces launched an assault, the Union Army recognized the need to secure this position to protect its left flank from being outflanked. The battle for Little Round Top was marked by intense and brutal fighting. Union forces, despite being outnumbered, managed to hold their ground against repeated Confederate attacks, which were crucial for the overall defense of the Union line during the battle. As part of the coordinated attack, Confederate Brigadier General Evander Law's division under Major General John Bell Hood advanced toward Little Round Top on the extreme left flank of the Union Army. At the time Little Round Top had been left vacant, Union Commander George Meade sent Colonel Strong Vincent and his brigade to secure and defend the location. The four regiments, the 16th Michigan, 44th New York, 83rd Pennsylvania, and the 20th Maine, were positioned by Vincent with the Michigan Regiment on the far right and the Maine Regiment on the far left. After positioning the 20th Maine, he explained to Colonel Joshua Chamberlain that he was to hold that position at all costs and that he could not withdraw. The 20th Maine represented the extreme left of the Union Army, and they had less than 10 minutes to prepare for the inevitable assault from the Alabama Brigade of Hood's division. On the Union left, Colonel Chamberlain was told that the Confederates were reforming their lines to overlap those of the 20th Maine. Chamberlain stretched his lines thin and set them in a right-angle formation to counter. Hood had ordered the 15th and 47th Alabama, led by Colonel William C. Oates, to collapse and roll the Union left, but Chamberlain's adjustment held the line. After 90 minutes of holding the Union left, the 20th Maine was running very low on ammunition. Chamberlain ordered his men to fix bayonets and planned a right-wheel maneuver down the hill to sweep the Alabama regiments off the hill. The successful charge led to the capture of many Confederates and effectively ended the assault on Little Round Top. Casualties at Little Round Top were high for both sides. Of the 2,996 Union troops engaged at Little Round Top, There were 565 casualties, 134 killed, 402 wounded, 29 missing. Confederate losses of 4,864 engaged were 1,185, 279 killed, 868 wounded, 219 missing.
It is cold. That's more of a trail. What that leads to. Rugged terrain indeed. Indeed, indeed. This is where your 20th Maine would have been on July 2nd, 1863, to repel Hood's advance. Late on the second day, the 386 men of Colonel Joshua L. Chamberlain's 20th Maine Volunteers found themselves anchored the southern end of the Union line. If they could not stop the Confederate attack here, Little Round Top might be lost. For more than an hour, waves of Alabamians repeatedly stormed this hillside. The first attacks come from your right. Subsequent attacks come from your left, forcing the 20th Maine to refuse to bend back their line. So deadly was the struggle that blood stood in puddles on the rocks, but each attack was repulsed. When the Mainers' ammunition was nearly spent, a desperate bayonet charge launched by the regiment drove the Alabamians back for good, thus securing the Union left flank. The cost was enormous. The 20th Maine suffered 125 casualties during the 90-minute struggle for the hill. The short walk in front of you leads to the secluded 20th Maine Monument. It rests on the ground Chamberlain was ordered to hold at all hazards. Interesting.
Haunts, ghost stories, and paranormal experiences are plentiful at Little Round Top. Ghostly apparitions of soldiers in combat have been witnessed. Screams and yells can be heard often, including that of the Confederate charge, Rebel Yell. Infrared photography has captured images of soldiers and officers in broad daylight. This is a common technique used by paranormal investigators with some results and captures that are simply amazing. Cannon fire can be heard on occasion, while the scent of black gunpowder is often experienced by visitors. Others detect sudden cold spots and shadows out of the corner of the eye. Legend tells of a story of Gideon, a young drummer boy who was killed in battle. Visitors report hearing the sound of drums atop Little Round Top. Others have claimed to have witnessed a young boy in uniform playing the drums. Then he vanishes into thin air. Of note, there is no documented evidence of a drummer boy named Gideon on record. Just before fighting at Little Round Top, members of the 20th Maine Division reported seeing the ghost of George Washington. Washington's ghost appeared in his Revolutionary War uniform, pointing towards Gettysburg with his sword, and this account helped boost the morale of the soldiers. During their famous charge down Little Round Top, many Union soldiers of the 20th Maine later attested, witnessed a pale figure riding a horse with a sword many said was on fire. Even the Confederates saw this man, decked out in full Continental Army uniform. Then there are reports of visitors actually seeing what they believe to be the ghost or apparition of Colonel Joshua Chamberlain of the 20th Maine surveying the landscape of Little Round Top. And last, one account of Union soldiers rushing down the left side of Little Round Top with fixed bayonets. Described as very faint, the soldiers were not solid, but very much transparent. The witness claimed it was almost like watching an old movie reel. After a few hours of exploring Little Round Top, it is very easy to see that once this hill and area was fortified, soldiers and artillery in place, this was going to be a tough, if not impossible task for the Confederates to accomplish. From Little Round Top, we make our way to the Michael Bushman farm. Just behind the Bushman farm is Big Round Top, which is right beside Little Round Top. Again, the scene of heavy fighting on the second day of the battle. We are very excited as we will be spending the next 3 nights at the Bushman house. The stone portion of the house was built in 1808, the brick addition added in 1860. The 2-story stone home with a brick addition became a staging ground for Confederate General John Bell Hood's attack on July 2nd. The farm holds a rich history before and after the battle. Like many homes on the battlefield, owners Michael and Amila Bushman fled their home during the battle. On July 2nd, General Hood sent his men through the Bushman property to attack Little Round Top and Devil's Denver. The barn became one of the primary aid stations on July 2nd and 3rd for Hood's men. The Bushmans found their home looted and 8 Confederate soldiers buried next to the barn when they returned. On July 2nd of 1863, Hood's division swept across this land on the way to attack Little Round Top and the Devil's Denver. Hood was severely wounded, rendering his left arm mostly useless for the rest of his life. Hood may have been wounded in the Bushman orchard. The Bushman barn was probably used as a temporary field hospital, and 8 Confederates were buried beside it. To have the opportunity to stay at the Bushman farm here on the battlefield, where some of the heaviest and most intense fighting of the battle took place, is a historic honor. Beautifully restored and updated in 2017, the house is set back from the roadways. The house offers 3 bedrooms, including a first-floor master bedroom, 1.5 bathrooms, fully equipped and updated kitchen with dishes, utensils, stove, microwave, dishwasher and refrigerator, dining room, and sitting room. The home was sold to the Gettysburg Battlefield Memorial Association in 1894 and later transferred to the National Park Service in 1933. A minimum 2-night stay is required and a maximum 6-night stay is allowed. Reservations may be made up to 6 months in advance.
There are your round tops.
The Michael Bushman farm is rumored to be haunted, with tales of campfires and apparitions reported by visitors. This farm played a significant role during the Battle of Gettysburg, serving as a Confederate field hospital and is associated with the tragic loss of soldiers. While there are no definitive evidence of ghosts, the atmosphere of the farm's history and the stories surrounding it contribute to its haunted reputation. Excited about the possibility the house and area may be haunted, we packed a few pieces of equipment, a few video cameras, audio recorders, and a couple of REM pods in hopes of maybe capturing unexplained occurrences. We happened to stumble upon a few postings in the guest book in the house of odd occurrences, several involving this doll.
Wow. I mean, what more could you say? What an honor and a privilege it is to stay here at the Michael Bushman Farmhouse here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. It's such a historic location, being right here on the battlefield, just below Little Round Top and Big Round Top. It's where Confederate General John Bell Hood led an assault on Little Round Top on July the 2nd, 1863. And of course, that major assault on Little Round Top, casualties were horrific, including Major General John Bell Hood, who was shot in the arm, received a terrible wound. And one little interesting side note that's kind of ironic, Major General John Bell Hood, after receiving that wound, was actually treated in Stanton, Virginia for 2 days before he set forth on the Virginia Central Railroad that took him to Richmond, Virginia, where he spent some time there recovering and recuperating. It's believed when John Bell Hood was actually in Stanton that he was treated at the American Hotel, which was a Civil War hospital in Stanton, Virginia, and it was right there beside the Virginia Central Railroad. Stanton, of course, being our hometown, I know a lot about Stanton, Virginia, its Civil War history, and yeah, it's what an ironic little twist there. Let me ask you something. If you know what you know with the house being haunted, let's say if you knew it was haunted, we don't know that now, but if you knew it was haunted, would you come down here in the middle of the night in the dark if you needed something?
Yeah, I'm not afraid of no ghosts. I'm not.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Let's fire it up again. There we go. Alrighty. Hello. Can you see me? I take that as a yell. Are there any women here? Can you make these lights blink? Just touch the ball or touch the red light down there. Can you do that? Who is that? That sounded like a woman. I hear you. I don't know if you're a woman or a child.
It is believed that this barn was used as a field hospital during and after the fighting on July 2nd, 1863. It is quite possible this may have been where Confederate General John Bell Hood may have been treated immediately after being severely wounded in the arm. It is believed that General Hood was wounded in the Bushman orchard. Hood's arm would be useless for the remainder of his life. It is reported that there were 8 Confederate soldiers that were buried behind the barn. We will attempt to do a walk around the barn later this evening using a thermal imaging camera. Going into the barn was off limits, so we scanned the outer perimeter around the barn, looking for anything out of the ordinary. Thermal cameras have steadily become one of the most important pieces of equipment in modern paranormal investigation. Their ability to visualize heat, something our naked eye cannot perceive, allows investigators to detect subtle environmental changes, anomalies, and potential manifestations that may otherwise go completely unnoticed. Thermal imaging provides visual documentation, which often becomes the most compelling evidence captured during an investigation.
Pretty cool, my reflection.
Unlike night vision, thermal imaging doesn't require any external light source. It operates by reading the natural energy emitted from the environment itself. Thermal cameras show an entire image of heat across a room or object. Warmer areas appear red or yellow. Colder areas show up blue or purple. Most spirits don't appear in the light range visible to the naked eye, at least not constantly, but thermal imaging increases our range. Different spirits can have different effects on the temperature, and using infrared light, we're able to spot these differences in either direction. This was an awesome adventure, one we would highly recommend. The Bushman house is beautiful, warm, and inviting. It is a wonderful piece of history, and staying here is beyond anything you can imagine. Paranormally speaking, our time spent here was quiet and relaxing, an excellent getaway for us. Data captured here was limited. Our REM pods did alert us on 2 occasions, but we were unable to capture that on video. Thermal video was normal. Infrared images and video were normal as well. Audio was interesting at times, general audio at times, and the spirit box performed as anticipated. We did feel as though someone did try to communicate with us on several occasions. Again, what a wonderful location. Such a historic location should always be treated with the utmost respect.